Pledge of Lent.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this speech actually isn't about that more original. I found someone on Craigslist, so first time I've read it, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about what I think an Antioch education is and what I think it was for my class. In other words, why are we, those of us who are left here, still here? There are some obvious, mostly cynical reasons, like the free education or the last chance to get a degree. Or the often irrational and overpowering sense of responsibility for the institution, something I'm sure none of you here have ever felt. And there's some other really good obvious reasons, like the terrific faculty. But there's some other sort of unique ones that I'd like to talk about that I think are important to my class. So I'll go ahead and try and outline those for you here. So a lot of people talk about how Antioch College is a bubble, how it's not the real world. I don't know what college generated that kind of thinking, but it's not this one. And it sounds like kind of a flop to say that I went to an institution of higher learning and learned about, of all things, institutions, but I think that's very real. I think that what a lot of what we've learned is how to interact in a human system and how to be here with each other and kind of make things work. Because if I've learned anything from Assad, it's that the world of humans is mostly just composed of institutions, which are sometimes functional and always full of all kinds of people, and always filled with endemic conflicts and often beloved. And some institutions, as Dr. King said 50 years ago, challenge the convention in order that they may have the opportunity to lead in humane causes and in the solution to humane problems. And such an institution is Antioch College. And I wonder if it still is, but either way, I think it's that what it's taught us is very important for the next 50 years. So when my class arrived, it was under conditions of intense scrutiny. There was very little structure in place, and there was a political divide between competing visions of Antioch waiting to absorb us. And I'm not saying that to complain, although it's worth mentioning that with only a little more infrastructure, particularly in the areas of diversity training and conflict resolution, basically ubiquitous of the colleges of this time, many of my absent classmates would still be here today. And I'm not saying that to complain, I'm saying it because it was an essential part of the educational experience for us. Because we saw a collection of committed individuals become an organized entity, and that organized entity become a college. And the thing is that you can't learn from only good examples, you also need bad examples. And we had those. We saw failures that made people we love break down during their time here, easily preventable failures of compassion, planning, and inclusion. And many of them were our own. And we also saw triumphs of community and forgiveness and genuine improvement. We saw people gain consciousness and learn to work things out together. And there's still a lot of pain that may never be resolved, and I'm not going to gloss over it by saying it was all for the best just because it taught us something, but it did teach us something. What I'm intending to communicate to you, because I think this is what it's like for my class at a fundamental level, is that it was both. It was trying and tangibly unnecessary, and whether intentional or not, I'm convinced it was the best education anyone's ever gotten. So what is an Antioch education? Like I'm trying not to do in this speech, it's an education that just doesn't BS you, it can't even if it tries. It's filled with contradictions and it's random and trying, and you can put in all the work in the world and stand up with all the grit they ask for in the pamphlet and get nothing back or beat down. But you can also change it, you can also find people to love in it, and it can also make you smile even when you can barely get up out of bed to face it in the morning. So here's what I think it is, here's how I think it is. I think an Antioch education is just an education for the world, by the world, and going to Antioch, at least for my class, has just been like one very good, very long co-op. It's been a really good educational experience. opinions about institutions and about working with people. I lost my place. There it is. Nobody really knows what's going on. Opaque political agendas shape our lives through whatever means they can. Old conflicts are just getting older, and unless somebody gets up and tries to resolve something, or cast light on something, or make something work, it just kind of chugs along with its head down, nobody knows how. For however many decades you let it. And we lost some people, and that's not really okay because it taught us something, but it sure as hell taught us something. And that's worth it, even if it's not entirely a happy ending for us. So there's about 20 of us getting out of here with degrees, and I don't know what any of us are going to do, but I can tell you that we're not going to BS you about it because whatever we learned was not that. Thank you.